What's up, everybody? Big D coming back. Another great show. Hope you're all doing well. Yeah, it was a nice 85 degrees on Sunday, and today it's snowing outside. Uh, can't catch a break, man. I'm trying. I got the patio lounge open, ready to go, and I can't even utilize it. That's now 2 weeks in a row. Gotten gypped on the weather on a Monday, but welcome everybody. And if you're new here, welcome. Thanks for coming and checking me out. Before we get started, please make sure you like and subscribe. Hit the button there, comment. Your support goes a long way there, helps the analytics out on the channel, and I do appreciate it. Also pinned in the comment section down in the comment section and in the description, I have my link tree there. Please go click it. Go support my advertiser sponsors and preferred retail partners. They help continue to keep all the programming going on the show that you know and love, and your support goes a long way to make sure that we can continue to bring you this great content. Whether you're looking for cigars, you're looking for accessories, I got you covered. Make sure you use the exclusive promo codes only available to my viewers out there to save yourself some coinage. And somebody asked this question last week, and if you're new here, I don't take any kickbacks from any of my on any of those affiliate codes there. I opted to give you guys the bigger discounts, so it's a bigger incentive for you to go over there and to use the promo codes and buy some cigars, buy some accessories, whatever you want. And yes, I am aware the Facebook stream is having issues again. I'm going to have to address that for the next time we do a show. I apologize if you're trying to watch on Facebook and you come over here. So I'll get it fixed. So, well, before we, anyway, so my guest tonight, boutique brand, and you know me, I love my boutiques. I love finding new brands that are awesome and amazing. I love showcasing boutique brands out there, and I'm excited for my guest coming in tonight. Of course, he owns a brand out of the Atlanta area there, and unique name, Liar's Bench Cigars. Of course, if you're old like me, you know what a Liar's Bench is, and if you don't, well, we'll explain it out to you. But let's bring on our guest tonight, Tyler Deady of Liar's Bench Cigars. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Pleasure to be on.
Well, I'm glad to be on. So I'll hand it over to you to formally introduce yourself and the brand.
Yeah. What's kind of funny is I didn't realize it was snowing over there. It's like 100% humidity over here, and I am sweating to death. So I kind of wish I had a little bit of what you did, but we can work with it. But in any case, so obviously I am Tyler. I am the owner of Liar's Bench Cigar Company. And like you mentioned, for those who do not know what a Liar's Bench is, it's, if you could imagine a general store outside of a small town or somewhere in the middle of a courtyard, there's just a single bench. It's where all of the old guys go, or the community locals, and they'll tell stories and they'll just shoot the breeze with each other and really build a community on this bench. And as people come by and they listen to these stories, the fish that the one guy caught gets like an inch longer each time. Or if you're a golfer, your hole in one, it continues to get longer and longer each time you tell the story. So it's a little tongue in cheek. It's a Liar's Bench, but really it's the idea that you're building this community with people. And the whole idea behind the brand itself was I wanted something that could be emblematic of cigar lounge culture and the people that really make cigars awesome. I think there's a lot of brands that do a wonderful job at talking about their pedigree and their lineage and the history that they have working with really great tobacco. But I wanted to do something that really focused on the people that smoke the cigars. And I had a very long list of names, eventually landed on Liar's Bench, knowing that there was probably going to be a little bit of education involved in this, but the parallels with the imagery that I was trying to convey and ultimately have people see in the humidor and say, you know what, I can see myself on this Liar's Bench smoking a cigar with my friends. It just made a lot of sense. So that's where the name came from.
I love it. I love it, but it's also reminiscent of our lounge culture we have now, hanging out with your friends at the lounge, telling stories and tales, and hearing the same story from the same guy, for the
Exactly.
time,
Mhm.
but each time it progressively changes. Yeah.
Exactly. I always tell people too, you don't it's not even a bench, like this is technically a liar's bench, what we're doing right now. It's really the spirit of it, right?
Yeah.
It could be this old corner in this, you know, dingy bar that you go to with your friends over there. Like it's the spirit of the place at the end of the day.
Yeah. I agree. It's always about bringing forth that nice spirit and sharing a good smoke with somebody. So let's go over the cigars a little bit for the people out there, so they can kind of see what your portfolio is all about.
Yeah. So I have 3 here, so let me grab them. The the very first cigar that Liar's Bench came out with was this guy right here, and it is called the Optimist. It is made at Tabacalera La Isla down there in the Dominican with Hostos. I reached out to him and said, "You have absolutely no idea who I am, but I'm really interested in starting a cigar brand, and I'd like to do it with one killer cigar to start." And to do that, I think what I need to have is a cigar that fits both ends of the profiles of someone who's a really heavy Maduro smoker or someone that likes a lot of strength in their cigars, really more so than the Maduro piece. Um, they need to be able to find something to appreciate in this cigar. And then someone who lives more on the mild side, where maybe they like Connecticut's, they can appreciate what this cigar is without feeling like they're getting kicked in the face with flavor and strength. I wanted it to be a true medium cigar. And ultimately, we came up with this guy, which is a San Andreas wrapper, Dominican binder and filler. What's really awesome about this cigar is you have the earthy flavors from that San Andreas. You got that really that earth like volcanic flavor almost, but it's balanced by the Dominican tobacco inside, and you get a lot of floral flavors, almost kind of like a citrusy zest in a way. And it's a really interesting cigar. But that was successful enough where it was the only cigar that I sold for basically a year. And about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I then launched the Silver Tongue and the Torchbearer, which Silver Tongue is a silver band, try and make it easy for everybody. And then the Torchbearer is a red band. The Silver Tongue sits on the medium negative side of things. I kind of jokingly say this is a Corojo wrapper with Habano binder and again Dominican filler. So this and the Torchbearer are both Dominican puros, but the Silver Tongue, the flavor profile in this guy, it's a creamy cedar. It's just so balanced and elegant, but the more that you smoke through it, the more flavor that you're going to pick out. So you'll get that Corojo spice, you'll get that Dominican sweetness, you'll get that creamy, almost like coffee full of cream flavor as you're smoking in the back third. So it's a wonderful, elegant cigar. It's way different than the San Andreas, where it's more earth and that's that floral. And then for the more full end of things, you have the Torchbearer, which for a Habano wrapper, Habano binder, I think a lot of people think you're going to just get a ton of spice and nothing else. But this one, it's also very balanced. I don't tend to like cigars that are super full, and I want to blend them so that you're able to discern a lot of flavor out of it. So the Habano on this guy is that baking spice and that leather. So you get a lot of that really cool spice, and it's a consistent flavor kind of like throughout the whole thing. So
I got that, and I did light up the torchbearer for tonight, and right off the bat, very that the leatheriness is very prevalent, as is the multitude of spices on the tongue as well. So um, yeah, it's very good so far.
good. I'm actually going to light one up with you. Oh no.
Oh
Wow.
no. Yeah, so good, nice retro. I like I like that the retro for a cigar that's not overly powerful on the palate has a nice punchiness to it.
Mhm. Mhm.
I gotta pick that up somewhere in a cigar. For me, that's it's like if all right, if you're gonna give me a smooth retro on that, then I'm gonna need to have something heavy hit the palate. But if you're gonna
Mhm.
give me something bit on the lighter side or milder side on the palate, then I better get a punchy retro of some sort.
Mhm. Well, and I think with like when we went and we blended these cigars, um, one of the cool things about doing the individual tobacco is seeing like, okay, so you have this Lajero leaf, and you can kind of feel it in the back of your throat, like this the way that it sits. This tobacco sits on your palate differently than maybe the Seiko, and this has kind of a punchy retro, and I think it might go really well with the way that this is sitting on the tip of your tongue. Like it's obviously it's an art, it's not a science, but I think that's one of the I mean, that's one of the beautiful things about boutique brands. You know, there's so many out there that are doing so many interesting, cool blends that if I didn't come to the table with something that I thought was a killer cigar, like I'm dead in the water, right? Like right at the beginning.
Yeah, I get you. It definitely you know is there. So what was the motivation behind saying you wanted to jump into the cigar game?
So right now it's my passion project. I work in software world for my 9 to 5. And back in 2020, when COVID happened and all of the software companies were telling people to go work from home, I I had such a desire to go back and do something physical, just like be in the presence of other people. And I had always had a bug to do something that I could call my own, you know, the entrepreneurship bug. And I got a brochure from Cigars International in the mail, and I was flipping through it and I was like, you know, I think there's a lot of brands, like kind of what I was saying earlier. There's a lot of brands that I know them because they talk about their history and their pedigree and their tobacco and their farms. And rightly so. They've earned the right to do that, and they've built their reputation on having great cigars that way. But I thought that there was room to introduce a cigar that one I thought brought it more back towards the Dominican profile. I think there's also a lot of great Nicaraguan brands out there and a lot of Nicaraguan heavy cigars, but I tend to like Dominican a lot, so hence my very Dominican heavy portfolio. Um, but being able to introduce a brand that had the the imagery and the resonance with the people themselves, like you and I, like sitting here smoking a cigar, trying to do the lounge culture in podcast form. You know, um, one of one of the things that I've always found funny is on social media when you're taking pictures of cigars. A lot of times it'll be, you know, you take your camera, you take a picture of a cigar like this, but no one ever turns the camera around, you know. And there's always this group of people that are smoking cigars together, and that's what I want to capture. I want to capture that through the brand, but I want to do it with really great cigars so that
Sure.
you're appreciating the experience.
I think it's good. Let's see. Will here. What is more important, the retro hail or the mouth taste? Oh, that's kind of a loaded question there,
It is a
Will.
loaded question.
On that, I think it all varies on you. There are certain cigars out there which, if you like to retrohale, are retrohale like smoker's dreams. It's like every puff is a retrohale. It's just so good. But I think both are important to the overall cigar experience. You that mouth taste is so important, and then you mix it with what you're picking up through your nasal cavity on that, it completes that circle of life of the cigar you where you get that the initial senses of the smell from the cigar right before you puff. You get the mouth taste and the taste off the mouth, and then you get that deep palate taste, and then you get that through the nasal cavity taste, and it just kind of circularly makes the cigar whole, and then you repeat the process, and through that process you see how that cigar changes from the initial smell that you get off of the foot when you're smoking to the mouth, to the deep palate, to the retro, and you can feel that progression. Some people don't like the retro because they don't like that burning sensation through their nasal cavities, and others, you know, I don't know.
Mm. Well, and to that point, I think from just the science, like the biology of the human body, we have so many receptors in our
Mhm.
nose that allow you to taste. And when you're blending a cigar, it's interesting to consider both because, like you mentioned, there are people that will retro heavily through the entire cigar, and they're going to be looking for something interesting there. But a lot of times I'll talk to cigar smokers who have never retrohaled a day in their life, and that's fine because you're still enjoying the cigar.
Mhm.
But if you're not thinking about both of those people when you're creating the blend, then you're missing out on a percentage of people that wouldn't experience it one way. So if you can get a really, really awesome just mouth tasting cigar versus the retro cigar, then that's great. But I'm going to be retroing. It's just something I think about when I'm doing it.
Yes, me too. I I enjoy. I retro multiple times through each third, but when you hit one of those cigars where the flavors just pop through that retro, and then I just find myself every puff, it's just I got it. It's so good. It's like
Mhm.
it just completes. But I try. Well, I shouldn't say I try. I do retro multiple times throughout the entire through each third just to see how is it changing from when I started from when I lit it up to the middle of that first third to the end of that third. How has the retro changed? Has it changed at all? Is it stronger? Is it lighter? Is it creamier? Is it sweeter? Is it more peppier, pepperier, spicier? I like to see how those things progress throughout the cigar. Same thing with on the mouth.
Do you remember the last cigar that surprised you? Like, as you retroed it, you were like, "Holy crap, this is way different than what I was expecting."
Um, yeah. Um, the the retro was so smooth and creamy to it, and I equated it to the what I was picking up through that retro was like fresh hand churned butter.
Mm.
It was very nice. It was so smooth and sweet and creamy. Like no pepper, no spice, just sweet and creamy. It was fantastic.
I mean, especially with the retro, because you're getting a lot of spice, and so to have it that smooth, that's amazing.
Yeah. I still remember the first time like when I retroed and I got like butter out of a retro hell and it like shocked me and surprised me. I was just like, oh, I've never had that before. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way.
What cigar was it? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was an Ezra Zion cigar back in 2015. And I was just like, holy cow, this is phenomenal.
Mhm.
How do you get a retro that doesn't have pepper or spice to it, where it's just smooth and creamy and it's just like fresh butter?
Yeah. I remember I had it was the LFD double Ajero in some petite Corona size. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I was expecting it to be nothing but just pepper and strong, and it was fruity. It was almost like I was blowing out blueberries through my nose, and I can never describe that sensation to anybody else, but I'm always like chasing that again. I don't know if I'm ever gonna find it.
Yeah. Hi, what's up, Tony? I'm into boutique cigars and never had Liar's Bench before. Well, Tony, now's your opportunity to learn about the brand here. So far I'm digging the cigar I'm smoking right now. He has three cigars in his portfolio here, mostly Dominican. So
Yeah, and honestly, it's not a surprise that you haven't heard of my brand before. I started back in 2023, if you want to go based off the business creation date, but I didn't truly start actually selling cigars until last year. So this has been 1 year for me as of April, really. So I haven't been doing it long, and I've been heavily focused on the Atlanta area. Only very recently have I expanded outside of Atlanta up into a couple shops in Pennsylvania, but it's all been very intentional. My my whole business strategy here was, well, I still have my 9 to 5 that pays my bills. I wanted to make sure that all of the lounges that I partnered with, I could still service and make sure that they were well taken care of. And that means I'm frankly limited by things like my time and the distance that I can travel. So the plan is to continue expanding and make sure that the operations of the business go beyond the borders of Georgia. But if you haven't been around the metro Atlanta area, you likely have never heard of me. But that's why I get to do fun stuff like go on podcasts with people like I keep wanting to say 505. What? Give me your real name.
Dan.
I was going to say Dan. I didn't want to.
Everybody calls me 505.
No.
Everybody does. You know, look, my badge the last few years at PCA have said Mr. 505 instead of Dan or Daniel.
Well, and it's funny because I was at PCA, but we didn't run into each other. And I saw a picture of you at PCA with that badge. And as I was trying to think of it, I was like, I can't screw up his name, but I don't want to just keep saying 505 the whole time. So, Dan.
It is. And Tony, for as long as you've been watching me, how many brands do I smoke or have on the show that you've never heard of before? That's that's kind of my thing. Let's see. I grew up in the Dominican. My wife's mom and her sister have worked for numerous cigar. Okay, there you go. There, Will. All right.
Yeah, you'll have to pop some of those names in the chat.
Yeah, man. And probably, you know, that's awesome. I love hearing it. Yeah, you're from New Hampshire. There you go. Okay, Tony's from New Hampshire. There, you see a lot. Yeah, a lot. Yeah, I just tried to bring y'all just the other side of the industry that doesn't get a whole lot of love out there, and showcase them and bring them on and open my platform up to brands like Tyler here and give them an opportunity to have some exposure out there for the masses to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think too, one of the great parts about being in the cigar industry is just how tight knit everybody is. You know, we got connected because of Rob over here down in Atlanta, and just being able to put myself in the position of talking to the lounge owners and the regulars and all the guys that are just in the industry, I get to end up doing stuff like this, and it's awesome.
I love Rob. He's one of my favorite people to hang out with.
You know what's funny is I've actually never seen him in person with the mohawk.
Oh man, you see, and you should have rolled with us in New Orleans because he had the mohawk going.
I saw it. I always see him, and he's very professional. He just doesn't have it, but
I know
it'll happen eventually.
He plays off his executive role for a day job very well.
How was PCA for you guys?
PCA was great, man. I was so busy. This year I actually had to bring in help with content, and I didn't know I got to the point with about 2 months before PCA, and I started looking at everything. I go, I don't know how I'm going to do this by myself. Mm-hmm. It was a struggle last year to get it. I made it work, but it was kind of a struggle. And this year I was like, I need help. And so I asked my friend Brandy, who also co-hosts on Tuesday nights with me when we have a Tuesday night show over on IG Live, if she would be interested in coming and wanting to help do content. And she said, yeah. So I brought her along with me to help it out. And it was good, very, 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 very busy for me on my side.
What were you mostly doing? Going around
I was doing interviews. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So doing interviews and I don't sit there and do long form interviews with people at the trade shows. I'm just like, look, I need 3 to 5 minutes of your time. Mm-hmm. Tell us what's new, what's coming, what can we expect, and anything else you want to say. Kept it 3 to 5. Every video is 3 to 5 minutes. Just out there.
Who had the most interesting things at PCA in terms of releases just for you?
Lure cigars, just because I'm a big fan of Lou, and I love his stuff, and so I'm excited to smoke the new one that he has coming out. Mayflower cigars was
Mhm.
a big one for me. I may have guessed what the new drop is going to be, the America 250 drop.
A lot of it makes sense, you know? I'll
I
tell you
I
what, their
I,
booth
I
was
may have
really cool.
guessed because I sat down with Michael and he was talking about it, and I said, "Can I take a guess on what it's going to be?" And he said, "Sure." And so I put my guess out there, and he goes, "Well, I can't confirm or deny that." And I'm like, "I
It's like,
got it.
you already did, yeah.
I got it." Yeah. So, um, yeah, and I've loved over the last 4 or 5 years seeing the amount of smaller brands come into PCA. So for me, it's kept me very busy, and there just more keep coming on and coming on and coming on, and getting to see quite a few brands that were a few years ago nobody ever heard of, and then seeing them at PCA makes me really happy.
Yeah.
Especially a lot of brands I was on before anybody else knew who they were.
Who's one of those examples?
Uh, Rooster Smokehouse, and so they're a Washington D.C. based brand out there. So I had them on. So I had them on, and then one of their cigars made my top 10. And then right after my top 10 dropped, they sold out that week of the cigar that made my top 10. He's like, we had 5,000 of them and they're gone
Oh, wow.
within a week. Yeah. The big one out there, Black Starline.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, I've been rolling with Eric since early 2020. Uh, when he was just kind of not even quite a year into being a brand, I was rolling with him.
That's
So,
awesome.
whenever he comes to Colorado, I show up just to go support him because he's also a friend, and then he puts me to work behind the table.
Um, so, I mean, obviously, when you were at PCA, you were looking at a lot of the boutique, but you focus on them when you're at PCA. You're not really going to the Drew Estate booth or the Perdomo or
Oh
Padron.
no, because my whole brand since I started the channel in 2019 was boutique cigars.
Mhm.
I'm the original, you know, 100 per my show's 100% dedicated to the boutique cigar, the small brands, the boutique culture and lifestyle. That's why it's been since I started in 2019. So
Mhm.
that's kind of where I'm at, And before it was TPE was the big one for me over PCA because all the small brands would go to TPE. But since they did the change with PCA and the brand, more and more people demanding small and boutique brands in their lounges and shops, these smaller brands are making that big financial investment into
Mhm.
PCA
Yeah.
to show up and to really put themselves out there, and they're
Mhm.
having a lot of success because more and more shops are are bringing them in and trying them out and going just because that's what their customer base is looking for.
Mhm. Well, and I think a lot of people are realizing that, guys like myself, it's not like we're going to a factory that no one's ever heard of sometimes. Like Tabacalera La Isla, they're younger in terms of the big picture of cigar world, but they're putting out a ton of reputable stuff. There was actually I just saw this on Half Wheel that was posted. He was in the top 10 of retail releases, so he's got a lot of people that believe in him to go make cigars. And one of my core beliefs when I was starting this was, if I'm going to be doing it, I have to do it with the right partners. Because if I show up and I say, I'm Tyler, you've not heard of me from the cigar world, but you have heard of this person and you have heard of these people that do my boxes and you have heard of these people that do my bands. It's like that I have that in my corner to help build that reputation. And then going and doing the podcasts like this and just trying to shake hands and kiss babies in person. I think that is how a lot of these boutique brands are growing organically, but people are realizing that they've got really good stuff to offer, and
It
it's
is.
different because
It is.
they
And
have
you're
the ability
seeing
to be
some of
flexible.
these. And the one thing I noticed was a lot of these smaller smaller manufacturers out there are also jumping in on their side with making, with retail releases outside of what they make, just because of the success that they're having with what they make for other people out there.
Hmm.
When I was speaking with the guys from Reyes Cubanos, and that was their big driver last year to create their own brand uh, out of the factory was, man, we've been making stuff for years for other people, and they're high praise, and they've been in the top 25 of Cigar Aficionado. Why don't we do stuff on our end too? And
Hmm.
we can be a part of this. And that was their big driving factor was, we make stuff for everybody else that gets high praise. Why can't we make stuff and show off the factory more and build up
Hmm.
the factory's name more?
Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I think from their perspective, it's just a matter of, do we want to get into the sales side? Because that, way different going out and trying and hit pavement and try and sell them the cigars than it is making them. But luckily, I don't have to worry about that side of things. I let the professionals take care of that.
I did meet the guys from Chi Molly. It was very quick because I was on tight time frame, having to, hike it from one side of that convention center to the other side in 6 minutes.
I I must have gotten in 4 days worth of walking at that. I was kind of prepared for how big it was, but I wasn't truly prepared. And I thought the entrance to PCA was the very opposite side of the building. And that was kind of a big wake up call when I found out that was wrong. And so I had to walk all the way back. I mean, it's literally like a mile. It was crazy.
I remember it from last year, so I knew where I needed to go. Everybody was doing that one last year, was at the front, and realized they had to go all the way to the other side
Mhm.
to get in. But I remember, but yeah, my total, I did 23,000 steps over
Jeez.
three. Uh, yeah, my feet were killing me. But the bright side is that New Orleans, especially that downtown area, is so walkable that you really can just kind of, you can go everywhere you want to go walking downtown. So I
Mhm.
didn't I didn't mind it, especially since the streets randomly close down all the time for just random parades.
Mhm. I had been to New Orleans a couple of times prior on Bourbon Street. We were staying on Bourbon Street, so this was a little less um, chaotic for me as a trip, but it was really quick. I just went and wanted to see it and connect with a couple of people that I knew were going to be there. And I was there Saturday afternoon and then a little bit Sunday morning. But the purpose for me was just to experience it for the first time because I'd like to go do a booth, but I didn't want to do it blind. And getting inspiration from seeing how some of the bigger guys are doing it, and then how some of the more boutique brands are setting up their booths. Like it was good to see just so I could have that frame of reference.
Oh yeah, and then you have a guy like Jeremy McDonald from Wildfire Cigars, who has his trailer
Mhm.
parked in there, and he stays in his trailer inside the convention center.
I love his booth. I mean, it's interesting, and you want to go see it. Frankly, I think the brand Liar's Bench. There's a lot of cool ways that I could implement that into a booth, but that's a brainstorm in my mind right now. I don't have any solid ideas.
Well, you see, in Caldwell this year actually had like a real booth. In years past, he just had a folding table and some chairs.
If he can sell cigars, then that's all
But
you need.
he's got a name, so people really don't. It's like, okay, you don't need a big fancy booth to bring you in. It's like, okay, it's Caldwell. We know what he's all about.
Right.
So he can have just a couple folding chairs and a table there, and going, all right, you want to smoke my stuff? Here you go.
And he saves a lot of money, to Tony's point, 15 to 20K. Uh, if you're doing that just in samples and not the actual booth design, then you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, it's a big financial investment for small brands like you out there,
Mhm.
especially having to, one, the amount of cigars you got to bring sample wise, that you're not going to recoup that cost. You can only
Mhm.
hope that you do well on sales to break
Yeah.
even on what you're going to lose in product.
It's true. Yeah, I actually was talking to somebody yesterday, and he gave me a pretty interesting perspective that all companies, cigars or otherwise, you're probably going to lose money in the first year or so, and you get to decide how you lose that money. And the idea that you're not going to make money, that was not a surprise to me because this is not my $1 million a year overnight. You know, I've told you this is a slow growth. It's something that I'm trying to build the right way so that I can get the reputation. But thinking about like, well, I can decide to lose money on samples, you know, and if I can get one person to enjoy my cigar, then they might become evangelist for the brand. And they're like, hey, have you ever tried Lyra's Bench? Like, I've never heard of it before, but it's a great cigar. And then that person talks to somebody else, and then you just get this web of word of mouth. And that has been, you know, the more helpful than anything, to be honest. So if
Well,
I can lose money that way, as opposed to throwing it all at a booth at PCA in my very first year where nobody would come visit me, I think I'm going to take the first one.
well, and I think you're also lucky being in the Atlanta area that
Mhm,
is very big on small brands and boutique brands over the big brands out
mhm,
there, and I think that helps you out a lot because you have that, the to be able to say you succeeded in Atlanta, which is a very tough market with a lot of brands already that are out of the Atlanta area, and to
mhm,
come out of it and go, yeah, man, I'm in a ton of shops in the Atlanta area. I'm starting to expand out of the Georgia market elsewhere. I mean, that's a testament to your cigars and how well they're received, and the word of mouth, because a lot of people listen to them Atlanta people out there. They've got a lot of
mhm.
big influencers out of Atlanta that do cigars, and a lot of big media people out of Atlanta that are in the cigar world. So for you to get in and to sustain it, and now to kind of move into other regions, that right there, that's awesome.
It's a hustle. I'll tell you, it's a hustle. But it's I I always joke around with people too that it's not that I've really I have a job right now. I've created a job. I have not yet created a company quite yet. You know, I want to build it to a point where it is something that there's people helping me out. And until that point, it's only ever as good as the last cigar that I've sold kind of thing. And being able to have guy like jump on the podcast with guys like you or talk to Rob, and Rob is someone who talks about my cigar, and then guys at the lounge. The first time that I had a lounge owner tell me people are waiting for your new cigar, like they're excited for it, I was like, wow, that is really cool. But it's also because there's a lot of work that goes in the back end of this. You know, it's like a cigar. Everyone's heard the 300 hands thing, but after the 300 hands make the cigar, there's the small brands who are trying to go then build a name for themselves. And through the, the community being so welcoming and everyone having the openness to try boutique stuff, especially in the Atlanta market, I am thankful to be in the position that I am.
Yeah, I think that's a good attitude to take. You know, because when Rob introduced us, I don't do any vetting on anybody if it comes from Rob. I trust him
Mhm,
completely. Where I don't
mhm,
need to vet and research. It's like if Rob vouches for you, then I know you're legit, because Rob's never steered me wrong in anybody he
mhm,
has sent my way.
mhm,
I've always been perfectly happy with and enjoyed every brand that Rob has said, hey man, you should talk to this guy.
mhm.
Introduce us. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's
And
do it.
it's funny too because there's a lounge over here in Marietta called Tobacco World, and the owner of that lounge actually introduced me to the factory that made the two new cigars. So even beyond the lounge relationships, I've been able to get introduced to factories in the Dominican that they themselves are also kind of small. So the name of the factory that made the Torchbearer and the Silver Tongue is called Continental Cigars,
Oh,
and
I know.
they've done they've done work for other large brands, but they themselves don't have a huge name presence. I mean, if you were to go look at their portfolio, it's not heavily recognized brand names. but the quality is still there. And I know that Manny wouldn't have said, "Hey, you should go talk to these guys," unless they made good cigars. So that's what we did, and it's worked out so far.
Yeah, Continental does fantastic stuff. I know a couple of brands that they manufacture for, and I know a couple of house blends for lounges across the U.S. that they manufacture for as
Mhm.
well. And they do
Yeah.
quality work out of there. They do good for such a small, really small
Mhm.
factory. They
Mhm.
they do fantastic work and quality there. So kudos, man. Yeah, and I'm really enjoying this cigar. I got to tell you.
Good. Good. I'm glad.
It's very good.
What are
Um,
you picking up flavor wise?
so the leather is really the kind of dominant flavor on the palate, and
Hmm.
the first third it was more of a raw leather, and now it moved from a raw leather to a tanned leather to now it's kind of getting more of a meatiness to it.
Hmm.
um, Mixed with the pepper and spice, light sweetness on there. I'm not going to go as far as to say it's kind of reminiscent to like mole, but it has that kind of mole feel,
Hmm.
or that mole taste feel to the cigar. And the retro is very nice. It has a that it's got a very woody, spicy retro to it. So
Hmm.
and then there's a nice charred wood taste on the palate as well that I've just started picking up as I've get into this second third now. Not quite halfway to the halfway point, almost though.
Yeah. Well, I think you're picking up a lot of what the intent behind the blend was as well. And I've tried to make it so that the names of the cigars are going to steer you towards what it might taste like. In the same way that I want the visual of the brand as a whole to be representative of that cigar lounge culture. I want you to have some sort of visual identity with the cigar itself. And it's almost like the personalities that you would find on a liar's bench, right? So the torchbearer is the guy that's at the front of the expedition, right? He's the one holding the actual torch and leading everybody else. So it's going to have a little bit more of that kind of like flame flavor, if you will. So kind of like that charred, that leather, that spice in the background. Whereas on the other end of it, the silver tongue, it's more nuanced. It's elegant. It's the guy that's good with his words and he knows how to talk his way out of anything. So the cigar is going to dance around a little bit in the way that you have the flavor profiles. And then the optimist being the first one. My joke line with this one is you can't buy happiness, but you can buy this cigar. That's good enough. But that one is, the floral flavor in there. To me, that is almost reminiscent of I can smoke it at any point during the day. It's like a morning cigar. I'm going to start my morning off with an awesome cigar, and it's going to be awesome. And then maybe I'm sitting around a campfire. I'm smoking the optimist. I'm feeling good. I'm solving all the problems of the world.
Yes, like fire. Yes, similar. That's similar taste. You've been around a campfire. You've kind of picked up though that kind of firewood taste on your mouth. There, Will. That's kind of what you get. And there's multitude of different types of like charred wood. Like you have that campfire wood, and then you have kind of like your firewood. You have like your smoking wood like you would put in a wood smoker for meat. You have multitude of different types of wood tastes that come on the palate, along with like fresh wood tastes like oak and cedar and hickory that can come through. And I'm not a big fan of the cedar taste in a cigar, but I will say that I um like that fresh cut cedar taste on the cigar. That I like, but that kind of humidor Spanish cedar taste, that cedar wood chip taste, I'm not a fan of.
Mhm.
So, everybody's palate's built differently on what they like. Like I hate drinking coffee, but I enjoy a coffee taste in a cigar.
Not a coffee drinker.
Not a coffee drinker. Not at all. I'm a hot chocolate guy.
Ooh, great pairing with cigars, though.
It is.
Y-
I have
Mine,
a have a nice collection of different types of chocolates I do hot chocolate with from around the world.
oh, so you're a hot chocolate connoisseur. This goes
Oh
beyond
yeah.
just enjoying. What is it? The blue can, or not? It's not a can. It's like a plastic jar that has little mini marshmallows in it. Swiss Miss. That's what I'm thinking of. Swiss Miss.
Yeah.
I'm trash hot chocolate compared to what you're doing over there.
I've had the real Swiss Miss, not the Nestle Swiss Miss, but the real Swiss Miss.
So what do you have? Almost like bars of chocolate that you'll dissolve to make the
I will
chocolate?
do do that as well. The bars of chocolate are also, you know, at one point in time, I was in a hot chocolate month of the club of the month.
They have a
So
club of the month for everything.
oh yeah, and so I'd get sent different types of hot chocolate throughout the year. Some of it would be packages, and some of it would be fresh chocolate that you'd have to melt down yourself and make your own fresh hot chocolate.
Honestly, that sounds delicious, especially now that you're sitting in snow. I mean, come on now, that's perfect hot
Oh my
chocolate.
goodness, it was 85 on Saturday.
Wow, you guys got a quick turnaround then.
It's 85. I was out there Saturday. I was out there Saturday digging post holes. I'm rebuilding my fence that the wind knocked down last month. So I was out there digging post holes to put in the new posts, and now all of a sudden I got, you know, and then yesterday it was cold and rainy, and then today it's been rain, snow, rain, snow.
I'd take a little bit of the rain right now. We're in a drought and it's just hot. But Georgia's humid all the time, so we just have to sit in it. Like it's thick. I'm sitting here right now and I can feel the weather.
I used to go to Atlanta all the time back in the day, back when Coke used to actually send us out for training, and so I'd go to Atlanta for training all the time.
So you've had to have gone to the Coke Museum then.
Oh yeah, I've been to the Coke Museum many times, and yeah, I've had, I used to love it. I used to love to go to Atlanta and hang out. Like it was a lot of fun, and then they tightened up their grip on it, and now they do trainings online, and I'm like, yeah, well, some of us actually need to touch this equipment to
Mm-hmm.
to work on it. And I can't. Now you just give me a video to watch. Like I'm supposed to know what to do with a video.
I'm the same way. I have to touch it. I have to experience it if I'm going to learn about it. I can't watch a video. I can't sit through a lecture. It's just never been productive for me.
Yeah, a lot of us are hands-on learners, and that's me. I'm a
Yeah.
hands-on learner. I gotta touch it to see.
I mean, that's exactly where I started this in a way. I wanted to be part of something that was physical. Like cigars are an art form, and I wanted to have something that I could create a shareable experience around.
Yeah, this is very good. Um, I gotta say though, where you kind of you put this kind of in the lower range of medium. Is that what you said about the
I call it medium plus. Mhm.
medium plus? Yeah, I would probably agree with you on that one though, but I will say that I do pick up quite a bit of vitamin N running through this. So the strength is a bit more than medium plus. I'd put
Mhm.
on that. The body itself, yeah, sure, but the strength, I'm like I'm feeling good smoking
Getting it?
this.
Yeah.
I'm feeling good. I'm like, all right, so little bit of a nicotine high. I'll take it.
If you're looking for it and that's what you found, then I am happy to give that to you.
It's good. It's a good cigar. The flavors are very good. Coming in first time smoking anything of yours on here, so this is really like a blind taste for me, and I'm enjoying it a lot.
That's good. I was gonna say because if you got on here and you hated it, man, that would have been an awkward conversation, wouldn't it?
I'd fake my way through it pretty good.
I mean, I'm gonna get a message from Chris being like, "Dude, I lied about all that."
Not even, man. It's really good. Like I like this one. I like it a lot. So now I'm looking forward over the next couple weeks and smoking the other two, and
Awesome.
and really getting a feel for those ones as well.
Yeah.
But the silver tongue on there, I'm looking forward to that one. That one That one, this one there, the Silver Tongue will be a review cigar. That one, the way you described it and the tobaccos in it, I just feel like that's a cigar that needs to have a review on it.
It's a good one to sit with. And I will also plug for anybody listening, if you want to buy Liar's Bench cigars, I do work with a couple of lounges that have online distribution that goes across the states. So if you go to my website and then you go to the retailers section, so liarsbenchcigars.com, head over to the retailers, you can select one of the two that helps me with my online distribution.
There you go. Yeah, you should definitely go. I'd recommend y'all pick at like. I can at least talk for the one I'm smoking. It's good. I recommend this one a lot. If the other two, you'll just have to wait to see how those ones progress when I drop the reviews on them. You'll just have to wait and see.
And if you like this one better, do the review on that one.
This one's good. It's good.
Who, in boutique world, who do you have your eye on? Who do you think's doing really exciting stuff right now?
The cigar clowns.
Mm-hmm.
They're just what they do, their branding, their marketing. It's top notch, and the fact that these guys 4 or 5 years ago were looked at as jokes in the industry, and now everybody wants a piece of them, and everybody's like, oh, these guys are so great and amazing, and oh, I've always been part of, when they never have.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always big on them. I think that what they do is amazing, and they do fantastic work. Black Stogies is another one I'm big on right now. AT Fields Selection, another brand I'm really big on. And excuse me. And then I am just completely sold on Sable Cigars. There's another one that I think she's gonna. I think in the next 2 years she's gonna blow up. She's gonna be one of those brands that everybody knows about and is just everywhere. She just has that it. That it. I just, when you smoke a cigar and you can taste it and go, man, there's something about this that's just, it's there. And then to get to meet Katana in New Orleans and hang out with her, she has that personality it factor to her as well. I'm like, oh, there's no way she's not gonna make this jump here in the next year or two. I'm highly sold on her and what she's doing over there.
I'll have to get my hands on one of the cigars, because I've also seen that brand. I haven't smoked any of it personally, but heard good things about it.
Yeah, it's good. She's got fantastic stuff. So yeah, I think she's found the magic sauce, and it's there. Like you'll smoke it. You'll smoke one, and then you'll see what I mean when I say, yeah, it's there. You'll know immediately what I'm talking about, because it just hits you. It's just like, yeah.
Well, it's always so exciting to get those cigars too, because cigars are all they're brown, they're leaves, and they're rolled up. And so I think everybody having their own palette of what makes like that really killer cigar, when you find it just becomes the staple. You'll always have it. And you're always willing to try other things, but you're like, I don't know what I'm going to smoke. I'm going to reach for a Sable, because it's old faithful. It's old trustworthy.
Yes. And I think, like we were hanging out at a lounge, and she was talking to a retail shop, and then she asked me, she goes, what did you think of this cigar? And I know she was talking to a retail shop, and I was like, I just kind of was like, oh, I love this and this and all that. I go, it's fantastic. I go, it's there. I just thought they were regular people. I go, and it's one of my top cigars of the year right now. Like if you made me pick what's one of my top 3 cigars for the year, that cigar right there. And then I went back to hanging out and smoking, and then she goes, she goes, thanks, you helped me make the sale. So I'm going into their lounge. And I was like, oh, well, if you had told me, I would have talked it up a bit different of a game on this.
You're like, yeah, I'll take my finder's fee now. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. That's it. Tony here, Belladama. Yeah, I like Belladama too. She does great stuff. You know, I was on her way back in 2020 before anybody else was. She does fantastic cigars. You know, and I just, it's out there. Casa Molina, I met them at PCA. Man, I've been some good stuff. Good stuff. A lot of their stuff coming out of, they're doing a lot of stuff out of the Dominican and with Eladio Diaz. So, immediately you're smoking the cigar and realizing that, all right, you're going in with higher expectations than you would normally go in just because of who made the cigar. So now it's like, okay, and then it exceeds your expectations. Like, yeah, this is, and Davidoff was dumb to get rid of him.
Even if you're a big company, make bad decisions.
A year before it was announced he was gone is when I started noticing a difference with a lot of stuff coming out of Davidoff. And I'm like, what changed? Because there's just something, these new stuff coming out, I don't like it. It's just something different. And then it dropped that Eladio had left. And I was like, there it was right there. I'm like, it's like, there you go. Same thing, when Rick decided to seek other options there from CAO and start West Tampa out there. It's like, I don't know, man, this year's basin isn't good. And then the next year's basin, very good. And it's like, oh yeah, Rick left. Oh, well, okay.
This all makes sense now.
It all makes sense. Yeah.
Let me. Are you a fan of the dagger, the basin dagger?
I don't know.
I love that cigar. I feel like a weird guy saying this because everybody I talk to is like, it's fine. I love the dagger. It's perfect for a very quick morning smoke with coffee, which granted, if you don't drink coffee, it might not hit the same, but waking up, getting a quick little basin dagger in there. I love the flavor of that. And I like the basin more, but I recognize that they're two very different cigars. And I think a lot of people are trying to get that same, I think it's almost like effervescent, the basin, in the way that it smokes. And you don't get the same thing out of the dagger. So I put them in their own buckets of like why I like each of them.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, I'm in that camp of it's all right. It's fine. And, a couple years ago, Rick at Rocky Mountain Cigar Fest, he goes, I got a gift for you. And I go, oh, okay. You don't need to give me anything. He goes, I just want to say thank you because, trying to get the new company off the ground, it was a lot of hard work, and I appreciate your help and support and promoting it. And so he hands me this cigar. The cellophane is so brown in it, I don't even know what it is. I'm like, oh. I was like, thank you. He goes, that's from the original run of the basin in 2014.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh, I can't smoke this.
Yeah, when did you smoke that?
I'm like, I can't smoke this. I mean, he's like, nah, smoke it and enjoy it. And I'm like, well, okay.
If you insist.
I did, but it took like 2 years for me to pull the trigger on lighting that up. Because, again, it's one of those, I'll never get to smoke another one again. So,
Was it a special occasion, or was it just, it felt like the right time to bust it out?
I don't know. It wasn't even a special occasion. It was just, I felt like I wanted to smoke it. So I did.
Cigars are meant to be smoked. I can't hold on to cigars for too long because I end up wanting to smoke them. 2 years for me is a really long time to hold on to something.
Well, so at PCA in 2023, I went to the Fuente event. And so only 250 people were allowed into the event. And so I was one of the 250 who got in. And so he had made a special cigar just for that event. And it's called the Rare 13. So double wrapper, double binder, and then 7 different tobaccos from around the world. And so I held on to it because, again, that's a once in a lifetime cigar that you
Mhm.
probably never smoke again. And I go, nah, I got to save this one for a special occasion. And so after my dad passed last August, and as I was sitting there, I go, I need to find a way to honor my dad. And I go, I know the cigar, and that was the cigar I lit up.
Mhm.
And I go, and so when I saw Carlito this year in New Orleans, I told him about that. I was like, because I go, I needed a cigar to honor my dad, and my dad's not a smoker. He's kind of anti-smoking. He's not big on me. He was never big on me smoking cigars, but when I started doing content, he was my biggest fan, and he watched everything I ever
Mhm.
put out. He was always there. And I said, I felt that was an appropriate cigar because I know how much your dad meant to you, and I know how much my dad means to me, and what family means. And so I thought that was the perfect way to honor him in
Mhm.
tribute, just because of what your dad means to you.
Yeah.
And Carlito, he started welling up, and he's like, I hear his voice every day, and when I'm lost and trying to figure out what I need to do or how I'm supposed to fix a blend, I hear his voice, and it guides me, and it tells me we're going. I go, I still hear my dad's voice every day too. No matter
Mhm.
what. I always think when I find myself in a situation, I go, what would my dad would have said?
Mhm.
What would that have been? So yeah, it was one of those, again, cigars bringing people and moments together, like
Mhm.
that. And so yeah, I have a few of those cigars that are like special. I gotta have this perfect occasion because they're once in a lifetime cigars. I'll never smoke another one again. So I kind
Mhm.
of want to, like, it's got to be it's got to be one of those. When my daughter was born in 2022, on there, I lit off a 2008 Davidoff Presidente,
Mhm.
and you know they only made 1,000 of them, and I have one. And when they came out in 2008, they were $108 a cigar.
That's $1,000 cigar now.
Pretty much, if you find them on the secondary market, they
Mhm.
are. And I'm like, yeah, I've got to. And so my friend gifted me one when he bought a box of them, and he gave me one. And they came in boxes of 6. And he gifted me one, and I held on to it. I held on to it from 2008 to 2020 to 2022, and I was like,
It's good patience. Yeah,
yeah.
it's good patience.
I
Good
was
friend
like,
too.
I was like, I got it. I got to. This is perfect time to go. Some of my rarest cigars came from this guy back in the early
Mhm.
2000s, because he had the money and he would drop it if he wanted it. He would buy it. There was never any option, and he was the one who always told me that they're meant to be smoked. And so
Mhm.
that's why, like you, I don't hold on to a lot of stuff. I have stuff that I'll smoke for special occasions. I have stuff I'll smoke, has to be a real special occasion, but everything else, it's open game.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Well, I think that's a beautiful story about your dad too, and how it relates to cigars. It, the last podcast that I did, one of the questions that I got asked was if you could smoke a cigar with 3 people, who would they be? And one of my answers was my dad, and it's only because we haven't actually smoked a cigar together. Despite having a cigar company, I've not yet smoked a cigar with my dad. Even after answering this question with that answer, still haven't done it. But I hadn't any idea that he was going to be watching this podcast, and so he ended up being in the comments, and then they put the comment on there. He's like, "I'll smoke a cigar with you, son." I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." And I think it's just so awesome having the support of family when you're trying to do something like this, podcast, cigar brand, whatever it might be. And knowing that he's been there to help me out with things like a lot of the design work and going to some of the printers and getting things like, shelf talkers made. I'm like, "Hey, I need help with this because I don't have the same kind of graphic design and eye that you do." So he's jumped in and he's helped me, and he's been there to support whenever he can. And it's it's an awesome thing because, like your dad, he wasn't a cigar smoker. But when I told him that I was going to do this, I sort of expected there to be some kind of pushback, or at least like a "what the hell are you thinking" kind of conversation. And it was more of a, you know what, that's awesome. Let me know how I can help. And I said, you know what, appreciate you being so open. Um, I'm going to take you up on that every chance I get. I don't think you realize what you just agreed to, but he's still been helping out to this day.
that 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 I love it. I I'll count it as I got to smoke a cigar with my dad. I saw him a month before he passed, and I was out on the back patio of my parents' house, and it was a nice day. It was hot, and so I was back there because I went to go see him for his birthday, and I was sitting back there smoking, and he came out to sit down next to me, and he's like, "Can I take a drag off of that?" And I was like, "Sure." And so I handed it to him, and he took a drag off the cigar, and he's like, "I see why you like this." And
Hmm.
I was like, "Oh, thank you." And then he patted me on the leg and went back inside. And I was like, that meant a lot to me
Hmm.
because, you know, anytime I'd been over there and I'd go out to smoke, him and my mom would just stay inside. They wouldn't go out with us, but my dad came out and sat out there with me and we talked for about 15 minutes.
Hmm.
And it was one of the last few times he was actually his mind was actually there
Hmm.
and and not gone. So that was a nice experience for me to be able to have that talk with him, with him being there
Hmm.
somewhat.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great memory. Um, someone else in my life that I never really expected to appreciate cigars in the same kind of way. So my wife, she never really smokes cigars. And the first cigar that we gave her, I was at a lounge in LJ, and me and the owner were just kind of hanging around. And so Catherine, she was like, you know what? I think I want to go smoke a cigar. I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's go walk in the humidor. We're gonna find something that you like, but we'll get you a couple. We'll get you a sample pack. So it was like an Isla del Sol for the sweet stuff, a Hoya Dark Habano, a Tabernacle Foundation, and two others that I can't remember right now. And she doesn't even drink coffee if it's not 80% cream and sugar. And she smoked the Tabernacle Foundation and loved it. I was like, "What? Who did I
Whoa.
marry? This is not."
Whoa.
um, and everyone, I was like, "Oh, man, I should have given you a cheaper cigar to start off with if that's the one you're going to love." But she ended up smoking it, and it just blew us away that that's the first thing that she tried and really liked it. So,
you
just how
got
just
you
funny
got
how
to
it goes
keep you
sometimes.
got to keep her there.
Hmm.
Yes,
Hmm.
you got to keep her there. Ah, thank you, Will. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's awesome. Uh, out there. Wow, a Tabernet. That's a heavy cigar.
Especially for someone who has never
Yeah,
smoked before.
yeah, for somebody who hasn't smoked. Yeah. Do you remember the first cigar you ever smoked?
I do. It was a Quorum, and I smoked it in the parking lot of a park when I was 18. We didn't have cutters. We had like a, dull knife. So we chopped off the end. And as I was smoking it, I was trying to just like take the flecks of tobacco off of my tongue every couple of minutes. It was a terrible experience. But what I appreciated about it was me and a couple of my best buddies. We were just sitting around smoking cigars. And so it all comes back to that experience of appreciating how this is more of a vehicle of connection with everybody that we were there with. So, you know, the quorum we smoked because we were in high school and we had no money and we wanted to pretend like we knew what we were doing. So we just grabbed whatever we could. And it obviously have grown up since that point. And that was my first cigar.
Wow. So I gotta say, as I'm coming into the last bit of this final third, there's a minty component I'm picking up on my mouth,
Mm,
and I love it. It's almost a refreshing. I just, hey, you just had a nice meat meal, and here you go. Here's an after dinner mint for you.
Mhm.
I love it.
I'm at the same point right now. It really, like, it rounds itself out kinda nicely, and all those flavors
Yes.
that you were getting, it comes together, and it's like it's the after dinner mint. As you're sitting there with, like, your port wine at the end of your meal, kind of just taking it
Yes.
all in.
I love it. I love that taste. Like it's so good. Like I've been so impressed. Like part of that final part when you got really into that final third, like it was really like a nice meaty steaky taste on the mouth with that. Like it was good. Like it was good. There was some sweetness, some saltiness, and then that really kind of meatiness. And now as I'm coming into this nub, it's got this just after dinner mint taste that's just overall rounding out a delicious cigar.
Mhm. Awesome. I'm really glad you're enjoying it.
My first, so when the day I turned 18, I skipped school. No big deal there. And I drove 20 miles to Santa Fe, New Mexico to the cigar shop. And I walked in and I said, I just turned 18 today and I don't know anything about cigars, but I want to, and I want to get one. So the owner's son, and a guy hanging out in the shop took me into the humidor and they picked out 3 cigars for me. Now I knew nothing about anything, and I brought $100 cash with me, and I was like, "Is this enough money for these?" And I like guy goes, and he goes, "It's your birthday. Don't worry about it. It's honest. If you like it, you'll be back." And I was like, "Okay."
Mhm.
So they picked out the Padron 2000 Natural, the Oliva Series G Cameroon, and the Camacho Connecticut. And that was back when Christian still owned Camacho before he sold out to Davidoff.
Mhm.
And so I lit
You're
up the Padron first.
not knowing anything
And,
about
and knowing nothing about it, but I lit it up first. And immediately I said, I think this is going to be a problem.
it. I did not have the same experience with the quorum, I'll tell you that.
And here we are almost 26 years later, and it is an even bigger problem than it was back then.
Well, almost your gateway cigar was your first cigar.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I was influenced by like TVs and movies because, in the 80s and 90s, all the cool good guys you rooted for smoked cigars, and all the bad guys you rooted for smoked cigars. And I'm like, those guys are cool. Like, I bet you I could be cool smoking a cigar too.
Mhm.
So it's like, okay. And so then I just kind of like, all right, well, you know what? I'm 18 today. I can legally go and buy a cigar.
Mhm.
And I did. And I sat there smoking that cigar and I was just like, dude, this is awesome. Like I've never tasted things like that in my life. It was just like an eye opener. And I
What
remember,
made you wanna smoke the cigars in the first place? Well, I guess it was the movies, obviously, but you didn't really have a family member that, introduced you at all. This was
no,
just, "I
what
wanna
like
try it."
my grandpa did, but again, that was in the 80s where he chain smoked white owls and cigarettes
Yeah.
in the car with the windows up. It was a different time. People, it was a
Yeah.
different time
Yeah.
period.
Uh-huh.
Okay, it is the 80s. It was a different time period. The only time that they would clear was when he would just vaguely crack the window, and then everything would get sucked out, and then he would light up. So that was really my only experience was him smoking a white owl, and then he'd toss that, and then immediately light up a cigarette to cleanse his palate, and then light up another white owl.
Just a little crack in the window. Everyone stop complaining.
Yeah, so you can't see, you can't breathe. You had to wait for him to get done and to just crack the window enough for it to depressurize and suck everything out.
That's a great experience you had for your first one at a lounge too. That could have gone way different. Bad lounge owner doesn't really care, just
We could
sees you
have.
with the $100 bill, tries to take all of it.
Yeah, and I was just like, okay, so I'll smoke, and so I did. I smoked that Padron, and it was awesome. And then I waited a couple days, and then I smoked that Cameroon, and I was like, dang, this is like good. This too, it like tastes completely different. I thought, in my mind, I thought like all cigars kind of tasted the same. Like,
Mhm.
they didn't realize that you pick up so much different stuff out of it.
Yeah.
And then the next day, I smoked that Connecticut, and I was like, wow, this is like different. It's like creamy and like bread. It's like creamy and bready, and like, wow, this is different too.
Yeah.
And then I went back, and I walked in, and the owner's son was there. He goes, oh, glad to see you back. So they were good for you, and I was like, yeah, I want those again.
So when you were first, oh, sorry, my dog's in the background. When you were first smoking, oh, hold on one second. Come here. I got a big old Bernese Mountain Dog, and sometimes he doesn't like the hot weather down here. But he's also a big cuddle bug, so now he needs pets. But so your first three brands being Padron, Camacho, Oliva, I mean, very well known. Did you stick with those three for a long time, or did you branch out kind of
For
immediately?
about 2 years, and those were about the only thing I'd smoke, because I was kind of scared to try anything else because that's what I knew. And then
Hmm.
the owner introduced a Maduro into me and said, "You got to try it." He goes, "Is there?" And I was like, "I don't know. That may be too much for me." He's like, "No, try it." So I tried a Maduro. I was like, man, that's really good." And then he introduced into me the anniversary series from Padron. Now that created a whole nother problem.
Hmm.
So, you know, and he got me in. Those are, but I always tell people that those are very good gateway drug cigars,
Hmm. The
because
Oliva G's, yeah, I mean, that's a great one.
yeah, and I got like a nice spectrum of cigars, because you had the Padron Natural and the Camacho Connecticut are both Connecticut wrappers, but they taste completely different.
Hmm. I will say
And
it's impressive that you could take that flavor profile and kind of recognize immediately that they were different. Because the first couple of times I smoked cigars, I was in the camp of like, I don't think I can discern enough of a difference between these. And it took me smoking one cigar and then immediately smoking another cigar to be like, oh, I get it now. I get why this one is different. And I am trying to be thoughtful about the wrapper and where this cigar is from. And I didn't take that into consideration enough the first couple of times. But when you actually put in the like the thoughtfulness, or even like, I don't know if you want to journal it. Like I tried journaling cigars and I can't write it down. I can't get the habit. But just being able to smoke the cigars back to back, you're like, oh, this Cameroon wrapper, way different than this Connecticut.
I journal every cigar I smoke.
Props to you. I wish I had that kind of virtue in me to do it.
I have probably 25 4-inch 3-ring binders from 25 years of smoking cigars.
That
That
is going to be a wealth of knowledge to somebody one day.
and every time I smoke, I go back and I would smoke that cigar again. I would update the notes if I picked up something new in it.
Have you ever gone back to a cigar and thought it was way different than the first time that you smoked it based
Yeah,
on
a
your
lot
notes?
of those early cigars, because I hadn't had my palate honed in. And that was probably 6 or 7 years into smoking, and I started to hone in my palate,
Hmm.
where I was able to like really pick up different flavors. And then I went back and tried a lot of those early cigars, and I was like, oh man, now I was like picking up stuff, and it really got me nerding out
Hmm.
into that. Your grandfather smoked the 6x60 punch and Garcia Vega Maduro. All not surprised. Those old school guys, they love those. They love those old heavy cigars. Not shocked by that at all.
Even
But
the
yeah, I
6 by
was
60 is big too big for me, honestly. I don't tend to reach for 6 by 60s, but that's a personal preference.
I don't either. But occasionally one comes and it catches you by surprise. Yeah, but it was different because I could tell the difference between the Padron and the Camacho because the Padron was creamy and earthy,
Mhm,
whereas the Camacho was creamy and bready.
mhm,
And that's how I was able to tell the difference between them. Where then you add in the Cameroon, well, now it's sweet and earthy, and it was
mhm,
like a different kind of. I was like, wow, that's like a different kind of sweet to it than what I would expect, and so it took me years to hone in to really get down. Okay, the flavor profile on all that,
mhm,
and
mhm. What really helped me too was the flavor wheel. Yeah, the what I think Cigar Aficionado put it out where it's just you have the macro categories of the earth and then the sweet and then the kind of like the floral and then trying to pinpoint exactly what I was tasting in each cigar. But having that I think was a game changer. Just sitting down with a cigar and saying, I am going to figure out 3 things in this cigar at a minimum that I can taste, and then from there, just kind of continue building out the way that as you smoke cigars, you can then compare it, like, "Oh, this cigar tastes like a, whatever else I smoked 4 years ago."
yeah, and I used to recommend that to people when in my very early on videos was to get a flavor wheel. I was like, you can buy them on Amazon for like $2. I
Mhm,
go, that will help you kind of hone your palate in. I go, and the other thing is go to your spice rack in your kitchen and just on your finger, just put put some of that, spice, those different spices on your finger. Smell it.
mhm,
Put it on. Just put it on your tongue. Don't swallow. Just put it. Rub it on your tongue. You know, get a feel for what the difference is between paprika and cayenne
mhm,
and chili powder and garlic salt to regular salt and sea salt to table salt and sugar. Multitudes of different sugars out there: granulated sugar, brown sugar, molasses, you know raw sugar. I go, try them all out. That will you'll hone your palate in on that to where you can be like there. And one day you'll be out at a restaurant eating, and all of a sudden you're like, oh man, this is almost exactly like how that cigar tasted. I pick up that flavor.
mhm. Man, now I really want a cigar after dinner. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like makes you this like I smoked this cigar and it's got a lot of the features of this meal in it.
Mhm,
It's like you find yourself doing that, but I didn't have that. I just kind of honed in on myself because I was reading a review and I was like, "What is this?" I don't but then as I started breaking it down and I started breaking down the cigar, it was there. And back in the early 2000s, there was a kit you could order. Uh, that was a taster kit, and so it
mhm,
had like 25 different tobacco fumas in it. And so this way you could take it, you could lick it, you could smoke it, smell it, and now you could kind of pick up the type of different flavors each of these different leaves brought to the table.
mhm,
So then it's like, okay. And it had on there like sweet, and then it had like 3 different types of sweetness that you can potentially taste out of this type of leaf. And this
mhm,
one, this one is a really minerally cigar, and then the different types of mineralness that you could get. And then, oh, this cigar tends to be really salty. And it
mhm,
had and I bought that kit and I started going through and smoking all those fumas and going, oh man, I get okay. Now I get the differences in the chocolate because this one it says milk chocolate, this one says baking chocolate, and
mhm,
now I'm like, okay, now I really taste the differences. I'm smoking both at the same time. I'm like,
mhm.
okay, I understand, and that really helped me hone my palate in.
Yeah. One of the most enlightening things for me wasn't even the flavor profile, but how it sits. When we were blending the Optimist in Hostos's factory, we did the individual fumas, and we were talking about how the Lajero specifically, it's almost like peanut buttery, and it sits in your mouth, kind of like how a peanut butter would coat the back of your throat. And then the Seiko, on the other hand, it sits very much at the front of your palate, and so you can get the different ways that the tobacco sits in your mouth. And then when you smoke the full cigar, you're like, oh, you know what? I can kind of feel how it's here and here. And then those individual flavors are now the sum of those parts are making the whole. It's very cool. And if anyone ever gets the chance to get one of those tasting kits or have the little individual tobacco leaves by themselves, I mean, obviously, we couldn't highly recommend it more.
I can. It's such a great tool out there for you to have to go, oh man, I completely get it. Especially as you're working on your journey and you really want to work on developing your palate. It helps, I find that if I get cigars that are damaged in, I'll just cut them open and I'll just start rolling each of the leaves individually inside of them and make my own fumas on it. I'm like, I paid for this cigar. I'm going to smoke it. I'm just going to do it deconstructed.
That's a Michelin star meal right there. Just deconstruct it, make it small pieces.
Red meat lover cigars are the way to after a steak or beef dinner. Yeah, they tend to go strong on that end on that, but I do enjoy the red meat lovers. They're good smokes.
All the Dunbarton stuff is good. I am partial to the Sober Mesa, but that's I tend to like the more mild medium side of that portfolio.
Steve does tend to blend heavy, but even his light stuff is phenomenal. That's out there, and I like that. I like that about Steve is that he takes a lot of big swings on a lot of heavy duty cigars out there. But again, as he says, he blends for himself. He doesn't he doesn't care if you like it or not. He doesn't care if it's too much for you. He blends for him. And if you like it, then we're good. But if you don't, well, that's your problem.
Right.
But I love Steve. And so, totally authentic dude out there.
Do you remember the first cigar that you ever reviewed?
Yeah. So the first cigar I ever reviewed on the channel itself was Perdomo. Was the Perdomo Perdomo 20th anniversary Maduro, and it was a limited edition out, and Nick only put them out at one shop, so you could only buy them from one place. So I bought that one, and the cigar I didn't even put my face on camera because I didn't know what I was doing. So I was just holding the cigar, and the cigar was falling apart on me. I was like trying to keep it together. I was trying to stay positive on it. I'm like, oh my God, this couldn't be any worse. This couldn't go any worse on it. And then I started reading the comments on the video, and people are like, are you going to be on camera? And I was like, why do you want to see me on camera? And then people are like, want to see your facial features? Because that tells us a lot. Are you really enjoying the cigar or not? Want to see the smoke, how hard how hard is the draw on it? And I was like, oh, okay. The first couple months of it, I'd say the first 6 weeks was a lot of trial and error, and it was me adjusting the reviews out to the constructive criticism I was getting in the comment section. I was like, okay, if people are asking for that, that's something I probably got to do.
Sure, customer's always right, kind of thing.
Yeah, I didn't take any of that criticism as like negative. I took it constructively because I was like, all right, people are asking for this, so it's something I got to do. And so the first 6 weeks was a lot of adapting to what the comments were telling me. And then I found that groove. And then after that, if people drop stuff in, I'm just like, well, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the beauty of being kind of the first in with anything is you have the ability to put your own influence on there and be a part of building it. And same for me. It's like if I have someone that's never smoked Liar's Bench before, and then they give me like an idea about you should do this to your box or something. I'm like, maybe. I think maybe. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. It's not that they're bad ideas. It's just that, like with the podcast, you have a specific vision with the way that you want it to be. And if you deviate too much, then it stops becoming your thing. And so you want to have the constructive feedback and the constructive criticism, but you never want to have it be not your own. You don't want to you don't want to not recognize the thing that you created.
Yeah, and I just kind of, I was out there and I put it. It took me a year to do the first video. It took me a year because I was like, nobody wants to see this. Anya Ramirez was the only reason why I did it because she rode my ass for a year on it, and she's like, no, you're knowledgeable, you know a lot. People will watch, and I was like, no one's gonna watch what I do, and so I finally did the first video on it, and she then the first couple videos she shared out, and for somebody who has 20,000 plus followers on Instagram out there, somebody who has a big name, that like meant a lot because that really kind of grew the channel was because she supported what I did and was like, yeah, nope, you want to watch this guy. He knows what he's talking about. And so it means the world to me because I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for her. Because it was her who pushed me to do it. And she spent a year trying to get me to do it.
That's awesome. What do you see as the future of the podcast? Are you going to continue doing reviews? Are you going to branch out and do different styles of interviews?
Well, so I don't really do reviews anymore. I stopped doing reviews in 2022 and moved over to live content. So, Brandy and I on select Tuesday nights will do a review, and we do it live on Instagram, and we bring the brand owner on and we put you in the hot seat, and her and I review the cigar live in front of you. And it gives the people who are watching an opportunity to kind of get a one-on-one experience with the cigar. And if questions, they can ask you directly immediately and get the answer to the question from you immediately. You get to see our facial features. You get to see how we interact. And with Brandy being a master of spirits, she adds in another layer of pairing into the cigar. So now you get to see her give her take and her review of the cigar, but also her trying out different spirits and trying to figure out what pairs well with the cigar. So you kind of get two reviews in one when we do that show. But other than that, I don't do reviews anymore. It's just live content. I'll do a written review with a photo that I'll post up on social media. That's about all I'll do now, review wise, which is here you go. And I do a couple of those a month where I'll take the cigar and I'll break it down and I'll do a review on it, written form, and then post a picture with the cigar. But other than that, I don't do that anymore because most people they're not going to watch. They don't watch review stuff anymore. There's that went away, and I saw that writing on the wall early in 2022, and I started making this shift to the live content. And the best thing that happened to me was YouTube suspending me for 30 days because when I came back with, we're doing this because the interview series was in the works, but it was going to take place later in the year. But that suspension made me, now I had to move everything up.
Makes sense.
So, the video reviews ended at 427 episodes of video reviews.
A little bittersweet having so many under your belt.
Yeah, and then occasionally on Rumble, I'll go over there for like a throwback Thursday or flashback Friday, and I'll post some of the older videos. I do some of the ones I'm like, hey, my first 1,000 view video, my first 10,000 view video. Hey, my most watched video of all time, 38,000 views.
Mhm.
I'll put those up. Every now and then I'll go up there and I'll just upload an old video, just especially like when I'm on a break I'm on a break for a month. I'll
Yeah.
post a couple of those up just for people, just put some content up
Are
because some people ask for them.
the bands in I think it's like basically like a cork board behind you. Are those relevant to some of the reviews or the videos that you've done?
Yeah, those were I have bands all over the lounge, all on
Mhm.
cork boards, and they're all the cigars I reviewed.
Very nice.
Yeah, so I have all those. I have them. It's everywhere. I've got multiple cork boards here where I put up. I went through and I saved all the bands from all the reviews.
Eventually, I'll get a background here that's not just the shed in my backyard, but for the moment, this works. I get some nice product shots or something so that I'm a little more branded. But
I get
oh,
that,
it feels
and
rustic.
then
It feels authentic.
sure, I had the cigar clowns send me a canvas print, and then one of the resident artists of the community did this drawing of me as a cigar superhero.
That's
So
awesome.
I hung that up. So yeah, I kind of made it my own. I've got over on this wall over here. I've got the entire wall is stickers.
Mhm.
All the stickers that you get in all your orders that all the brands send me, everything. I have them all on this wall over here on this side, and
Mhm.
then I have, so like tubos hanging sitting up there from all the cigars that I've gotten that come in tubos.
Did
So
I send you stickers in the pack that
I think you did.
I better. That would have been negligent on my part if I didn't send you a sticker.
I think you did. I don't know. Here they are over here. Yes, you sent me a sticker.
There you go.
Yeah, two of them. Oh, I like this one. That's a great sticker. I
Thank
like
you.
that.
Thank you. Yeah,
That
it's
is
supposed.
awesome.
Yeah, it's the logo. It's the Liar's Bench logo, but turned into a real thing.
Yeah, so yeah, I like that. So yeah, I've kind of turned, I built this lounge in 2020 and October of 2020, while I was out of work recovering from having my shoulder rebuilt.
Mm,
Because I don't know what the word relax means.
apparently not.
And so with one arm, I'm putting in insulation and drywall. I'm getting up on a ladder with one arm and getting the drywall up there. So yeah, I built the lounge,
Um,
while I was out on medical leave from
and man,
from
props to
work.
you. I've done drywall before, and I can barely do that with two hands. So I can't imagine what it was like building the lounge.
So yeah, it was a experience because I was like, I always come out here to smoke, but there's nothing out here. I just had a folding chair, and
Hmm.
and that was it. And so it was my parents gave me this leather couch and leather love seat, and so I moved that out here. And then I put a TV out here, and then and it's kind of evolved. But let's see here. But yeah, there's the sticker wall.
Oh yeah, very nice.
More of the cork boards. Those ones there are the early. Those are some of the first shows over there. The small ones, and then it's just kind of yeah.
You've got hundreds of those things hanging up, thousands potentially.
Yeah, and then of course we have the drooly. And if the cigar earns the highest honor I can bestow on it, the drool bucket, but on the inside, it's all filled with bands.
All the drill bucket ones.
That is just every cigar that I smoked that I've smoked once, so I can save the band of every cigar I smoked once. And then after that, I have a giant box over here that when I fill it up, I send it off to one of the artists in the community who makes cigar band art. So I just
Mm,
send all the duplicate bands off to him so he can do it to create art.
nice. I actually met someone at a lounge over here in Georgia, and I I had told her I'm really interested in getting someone to build a cigar box guitar out of my cigar box. And because they're boxes of 10, they're kind of small, and it's really difficult to make a cigar box guitar out of a box that's not a 20 count. She was like, "You know what? I know a guy, I think he can do it." And she sent it off to his name is Cigar Box Bart, and he built a guitar for me, and it works. I actually wish I had it, but one of the coolest things is meeting people that are creative and have the ability to do that sort of thing. So, the same way we have your picture over there in the backgrounds, I was able to get connected with a cigar box guy or a cigar box guitar guy, and it's just a lot of fun being able to play that and know that someone built it and they sent it to you, and I cherish that thing.
Yeah, I go to the post office and I picked up that picture. I was like, wow, what is this? And I opened it and I saw it and it was me. I was like, oh my goodness. I was like so honored. I was like, wow, you didn't need to do that. And he's like, nah, and I'm like, wow, thank you so much. So I prominently display it behind me. So it's in photos, it's in the videos, it's kind of there because, he took the time to make that for me,
Hmm.
you know, and then I had another guy made the 505 logo out of cigar bands
Oh, that's cool.
and sent it to me. So I keep, you know, all of these creative people in the community that took the time to do all this stuff for me, and I appreciate it,
Hmm.
because man, I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for them, and for everybody who
Hmm.
tunes in every week and watches. I wouldn't be here, and I thank them all the time.
Hmm.
Like my birthday show. You know, I I do a massive giveaway for my birthday show every year. All the stuff that all a lot of the stuff I get sent from manufacturers, I just package it up and I give it away. My accessory sponsor sends cigars, cigar cutters, and ashtrays and humidors,
Hmm.
and I give it all away to everybody. As a thank you to them, because without them, I wouldn't have a show, and it wouldn't have lasted, you know, 6 years, 7 years, almost 7 years now. If it
Yeah,
wasn't for them, you know,
absolutely.
and 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 the grind that I've gone through all every week, and this last year, Half Wheel selected me as one of their 25 media slash content creators to build their ultimate top 25 list for 2025, and I was one of the 25 people they selected,
That's
and I
awesome.
was honored by that.
Congrats. That's really cool.
I'm like, wow, but it took a long time to get that grind.
Hmm.
Uh, I thought Charlie didn't like me because I made fun of him, but it was all in joke. Like I wasn't trying to be mean. I was just making fun of his reviews out there, and he happened to be standing right by me as I was doing it. And I was like, oh, this clubbed baby seal fat in this cigar is rendered perfectly. I can almost taste the fear in it. Oh, endangered white rhinoceros horn in the retro. I was having fun with it. He was standing there. I was like, oh no, maybe I finally got back into his good graces after that. But I don't know.
If there's countless places that I go to, and if the regulars and the guys that work at the lounge aren't busting your balls to a degree, then you're not quite in the circle yet. So it's not bad. It's not bad.
But yeah, so that to me that was a great honor that they went through, and then to see a couple of cigars, that were in my top 10 list. One make their top 25 list and one be in their honorable mention list. It just, that it just like I'm like, wow, like I was honored by that.
Mhm. Yeah. I think it's important too to know that you don't forget where you came from and the people that supported you from the beginning. And even with the Liars Bench, I'll get messages on Instagram sometimes, and People will say, "I've never heard of you, and I tried your cigar, and it's really, really awesome. Like, continue doing what you're doing." And that means more than anything to a guy like me who's trying to build the reputation and the brand and put a quality cigar in people's hands. If they can like it and they like it enough to let me know, I know that they'll probably tell somebody else, and there's nothing that I appreciate more than that.
I just think it's great, and for me, being on the other side of the spectrum there, for me that recognition, but it's also a recognition for all the small and boutique brands out there that look finally, a big media out there by them recognizing me on that. It's also a recognition for all you small guys out there
Mhm,
because that's what I do. I could probably be a way bigger channel and have way more subscribers and way more followers if I sold out to the big brand side of things.
mhm.
But I don't. I keep it small. And so yeah, it took me a long time to get to where I'm at channel wise, but you know, it's good to see that the big media side of things recognizes what I do for the small brands and the boutique brands out there. And
Mhm,
that comes back to brands like you out there is that when for me getting that recognition out there means that though that big, half wheel went through my top 10 list plus my honorable mentions
mhm,
in there, which means they went out there and found those cigars and they smoked those cigars,
mhm,
which and then they built their list based on that.
mhm,
So for having two small brands make that list in their top 25 and honorable mentions, that means the world to me,
mhm.
out there. And I know it does for you small brands out there because that's big media giving you recognition too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, and hopefully I've got my fingers crossed for you for 2026 too.
It's tough, and I got brands who are like trying to make cigars. Their their goal is to be in my top 10 list, and they like, no, I built this cigar based on your knowing you for as long as I have on your palate because I want that number one slot. And I'm
Mhm.
like, it's tough competition out there, man. It gets harder and harder every single year for me to do that top 10 list.
Yeah, you're gonna
Every
have to
year.
send me more cigars to smoke. I'm never gonna know.
Uh, but yes, so the goal is to be a drool bucket worthy cigar, and I think Nate for this year I'm gonna have the drooly plaques made that I'm gonna send out and give to the brands that make the top 10 list, so that they have a physical award on there.
That'll be really cool.
So
And obviously, I'm hopefully here. I'm thinking about the Drooly bucket. I can put it on my wall when I eventually have my stuff. Don't
that's
have to say
right.
anything now, but I'm thinking about it.
That's right. And when you start getting big and the big media and the big podcasters start reaching out to you, you can name drop me that I was on you early on, and then you can watch them squirm when my name's brought up and try and change the question as quickly as possible. Because that's my favorite to watch. Because I'm a petty guy. And to see those guys who told me this will never work, this is going to be a failure, I'm wasting my time. And here I am. And when those small brands blow up and get big, and then they name drop me on their show, and like, yeah, okay, let's say, I'll have to move as quick as they can move on. Oh, it makes me so happy to watch. Oh, that's my enjoyment. Sometimes I want to make it my ringtone is to watch how they stumble and try and move on as quickly as possible. They don't
That's
want my
hilarious.
name mentioned. And then to hear those brands tell me how those same big guys complain and cry because when they have new drops, oh, who gets the exclusive on the new drop? Not them, it's me. And now
Mhm.
they have to link my stuff to their website or in their article until they get their stuff in, which doesn't come for like a week afterwards. So now they have to sit there and stew as my content's linked to their stuff until they get theirs. And then they
People
can't take it down fast enough.
people love authenticity though, and that's why you can have that sort of success. Be petty.
Yeah,
Be petty. People like it.
I am petty on it because I'm like, nah, man, because I've been rocking with a lot of these brands since they started. And now that once they start getting some notoriety and they get a name to them and the big media comes out, same guys that told you when you reached out to them to try and get a little bit of help and promotion, told you to pound sand, will
Mhm.
then have you on and praise you and how they've always been a fan of what you've done out there. But yet they wouldn't give you the time of day. And then here I am. I'm like, yeah, man, come on. You're perfect. Let's showcase you. Let's get your name out there. Let me see what I can do to help promote you
Mhm.
out there. Oh, why is he getting the exclusive on the new drop? Why? Because he's rocked with me from the start. That's why.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
cigar clowns are like that. Everybody's wants on the clowns. And when I had them on in February, I said I'm gonna be petty. And I pulled out my bags. I had 4 bags. And I go, this is every drop you've had since 2020. And I have one of everything. One of every drop, one of your legacy drops, your limited single drops, your events. I didn't go to the events. I had to trade people to get these event cigars. I've rocked with you guys from the start.
Mhm.
And to see some of these guys when you go on their shows talk you up as if they've been a fan of yours from the start when they haven't, I go, no, I've been a fan of yours since the start.
Mhm. Yeah.
And here's
Well,
one of everything you've ever had since 2020.
where you came from.
That's right. When nobody else would open up their platform to you, I opened up my platform to you.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, on that note, I'm really appreciative of you having me on today so we could talk a little bit about Liar's Bench, but really, I mean, just kind of like shoot the breeze for a while. It's been awesome.
Oh, of course, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on, man. Fantastic cigar. I really enjoyed it. I highly recommend Liar's Bench cigars, at least the one I smoked. You'll just have to wait for a couple weeks to find out what I think about these.
I'm going to be waiting on pins and needles.
I enjoyed it. Thank you so much, man. Anything you'd like to promote before you come on or before we hang up the show?
Uh, Nothing that I don't think I'd already mentioned. If anyone has been listening and wants to try, I guess I'll liarsbenchcigars.com, head over to the retailers section, and that is where you can purchase them online. And you're also helping the small guys in that way. You know, it's not like a big online shop where I have my cigars right now. So every time you buy from, right now it's either LJ here in Georgia or Cigar Vault Oakdale up in Pennsylvania, like you're helping out those shops. You know, you're supporting small business. And from another guy who's in small business, like that means the world to me and them. So being able to do this has been great. And that's it. That's all I got to plug.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you sharing your story, and I really appreciate your cigar. It was fantastic. I loved it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so
And
much.
no show next week because next Monday's a holiday. So sorry, but we're back on June 1st. We got the Sheffield collection making a return. It's been a couple years since they've been on. They've had a lot of changes to the brand and where they're at, and now they're owned by the Cigar Clowns, but they're still independent. So have them on, talk about their cigar with the cause. If you're not familiar with what they do, majority of their sales all go to help human trafficking causes across there and building tiny homes for the underprivileged out there. So they take their profits and reinvest it back into the general community as a whole. Great people. Love talking with Justin and his wife. So glad to have them back. And that's it for this week, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Chat, you guys rocked it as usual. And I'll have the issue with Facebook fixed by the June 1st show. I promise. I'll get it fixed. I'm being difficult. But that's it for tonight. Thank you so much. Take care. Be safe out there. Don't do anything Tyler and I wouldn't do because we're sweet and innocent boys. And we will catch y'all later.